All right, so we are back now, and we just finished writing our program using the R value so that you can see how to do that. The now we're going to change our R values, and we're actually going to write this program using the IJK method as well. Now, it's important to know and understand that your IJKs give you a little bit more accuracy in terms of making and cutting a shape true size and your um, roundness overall. So I'm just again our for the majority of our program, the codes in terms of the G codes and the X and Y codes here are going to be the same. The only difference is going to be instead of the R value, we're going to put an I and a J. So I'm going to go ahead and change this R here to an I and a J. Now the I is our distance in the X, the J is the distance in the Y, and this goes from the start point back to center. So in this case, our I value will be a negative 0.595 because our X position, going from our X position, the starting point, back to center, is negative 595. And in the J, well, we've got no movement there in the J, so that's just going to be a J0. Now, let's go up here now to the next one. Here we are at 90 degrees to that first point. So our I value here will be 0. And our J value now, again, it's going from that point back to center, will be minus 0.595 because we're going in the negative direction. Now we're at 180 degrees on this position. So our I value here, so let's go ahead and our I value here will be a negative because it's going from the start position back to center, negative 0.595. So, and again, our J value is 0. Last position where we're really at 270 degrees from the center, or 270 degrees in this whole position. So our I value here is going to be 0, and our J value here will be a positive 0.595. Okay, then we come back, our cutter compensation goes back off, we come back to center. So let's go ahead and bring this up and we'll replot this, and we see, so we have some differences. So let's take a look now. Let's go back and replot this point. Let's see where we're at. So right here, I'm going to plot this. So, all right, looks good so far right there. My G3 goes to there, so everything looks good with that one. The next G3 goes here. That looks good. And then we get a negative 0.595. Look what happened. So this is a negative 0.595 in here. So this should be a positive value, not a negative. So I sent it the other way. So this is going to make a big difference. Let's change that to positive, plot this out. There we go. Now we've got it perfect. So come back in, replot those points. Good, 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 and good. So cancel the cutter compensation, going back to the center. So up and out. Now, we have written all 4 of these points and put this in here. So as this positional move, but in reality, a lot of these other 3 points, when we're using the I's and J's, aren't necessarily needed. So let's go ahead and delete those out of here. Now, so on our G41 line, of course, we're coming over to this point right here. If we write that G3 point to the same line, so we're still going to be here at minus 2.0 our 2.84 and our y of 2.2. So let's replot this out here now just with that, and we kind of see where we're going at with this. Now, again, taking a look at my positions. So if I come to this point and I'm going to say, I'm going to go to that exact same point. So rather than going up to this point, I'm going to put in minus 2.219. I'm going to say we're at the same point, so 1.625. My I value is minus 0.595. My J value is 0. So now let's replot this from there. All right, now look what happens. So let's come back down here. So plot this in. Notice at this point, I can do a full circle, circular interpolating at that point, just with using the 1 point in my I and J. And I get a fairly true circle as well. So depending on the machines. Sometimes if you got an older machine, it might not give you an exactly true, depending on the tolerance you need, an exact true shape. You might have to kind of break it down into 180 degrees or 90-degree moves to kind of get that in here. But in this case, in most modern machines, you can just program this with just one line of code at that point using I and J. So this has been a synopsis here. So this is how you will go ahead and start to write your programs to do this. One other thing here with this, if we change this G41 to a G42, so that's all we're doing is we would be changing. Notice it's kind of going and showing to some of the same stuff here with this, but in reality, instead of cutting on the left, you'd be cutting on the right, and you might be climb milling, or you might be conventional milling instead of climb milling, depending on whether you're on the inside or the outside of a part. Pay attention to whether you want your cutter comp on the right or your cutter comp on the left, and which code that would be to do that.